Good Garvey Day, brothers and sisters. I posted LeBron James's tweet from July 3rd, 12:57 p.m. in response to the police execution of our good brother in Akron, Ohio, LeBron James's hometown. And in response to that murder of that brother who had 90 bullets shot in his direction, 60 of which pierced his person. Several of the 60 bullets that pierced his person pierced his face. And even while he lay dead in this unjustified lynching by the police, they had the audacity to handcuff their victim as if he was a threat in death, as they tried to presume he was in life. And so LeBron James, the first active black millionaire athlete in North American professional sports history. Let me say it again. LeBron James, a native of Akron, Ohio, the first active American African athlete to become a billionaire while he was still playing his sport, a native of Akron. In response to the 60 bullet lynching of that 25-year-old, LeBron simply says, I pray for my city today. I pray. That's what the most influential and wealthiest active black athlete on the North American continent had to say in response to a 60 bullet execution of a black man in his hometown. I pray for my city. Let me compare LeBron James's response to some other activism that black athletes had risked their lives and careers for in the past. Let's go through this because I want to put LeBron James in context. And I'm not picking on you, LeBron. I respect you. I like you. I think you're a good guy. You're a good example of a responsible black man. A great example. You have a black wife, black children. You have never been in trouble. Not no major trouble. Okay? You keep your nose clean. You speak well. I respect you as a responsible black man. As an activist, you are horrible. You are not an activist. You have never sacrificed nothing, and you have never stood for nothing serious. You have never done anything but run your mouth. And I'm going to speak on this, my brother, because I'm sick and tired of the NBA passing you off as an activist and you yourself claiming to be one. And you have never done anything that even remotely can even remotely be considered activism. Okay? Let's look at this. And the reason I'm doing this is because you got Negroes who think athletes are beyond constructive criticism. We have Negroes who believe that if you make a certain amount of money, you are now absolved of any responsibility to what happens to other black people. So I'm here to tell you Negroes right now. I am here to, and I want to happily tell you this. I'm very happy when I say this. First of all, you need to understand a few things about the man you're listening to. I could give a damn about what any human being walking the earth has to say about me. I am comfortable being the nemesis of black consciousness. I am comfortable having black men be angry at me because I will not co-sign your sexual integrationism. I will not co-sign your sexual integrationism. I will not co-sign your sexual integrationism. I am happy that you are upset with me. I have no problem with rainbow gangers taking issue with the fact that I will not equate their struggle with what has been happening to us as African people. I have no problem with members of the Congressional Black Caucus being angry at me for saying that most of them no longer deserve a seat at that table because they have done nothing for African people. So tonight, I take aim respectably at Brother LeBron James. This is not an insult to him as a man. It is a direct insult to him as a so-called activist, because he's not that at all. LeBron, I'm going to give you 7 days to get to Akron and do something. I'm not asking you to break the law. I'm asking you to show up and show out. And you can do that without breaking the law. You can do that without demeaning or debasing yourself. You can do that without drawing any type of negative attention your way. Now, because you're a billionaire, it seems like you're trying to fade to black. Now that you met with them people, a few weeks ago and they elevated you to billionaire status. So I guess you're a little too scared to speak up. No problem, my brother. But I have to deal with it. But I just wanted to let people know I am not afraid. I am not afraid to be the bad guy for a good cause. I am not afraid to be the bad guy for a good cause. I am not afraid to be the bad guy for a good cause. And when the most successful and influential and wealthiest black athlete gets on Twitter after a young man in his hometown got riddled with 60 bullets, and all you can say is, I pray for my city, I have a problem with that. And any responsible black man would also have a problem with that. To whom much is given, much is required. To whom much is given, much is required. Let's talk about what some real black athletes have done. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, 1996, before a preseason game on September the 1st, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, Denver Nuggets, praised during the singing of the national anthem in 1996, okay? He did that for religious reasons, but it still had racial connotations because a black man went against the expectations of white society. And one thing we have done a great job of, to our own detriment, is doing what white folks want us to do when they want us to do it. In fact, we may have been dancing to the tune of the slave master more after slavery than we danced to the tune before slavery. I'm going to say it again. We may have danced to the tune of the slave master more since slavery ended than before slavery began. Let's look at this. So Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, 1996, praised during the national anthem. He subsequently had his career cut short because he went against the wishes of white society. And then on September the 1st of 2016, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick knelt during the national anthem to call attention to issues of racial inequality, and police brutality. He had his career cut short. I know he's trying out for the Raiders. I don't know if he's going to make the team. Okay. Going back to Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Okay. He refused to stand for the national anthem. He declared that it would be a violation of his Islamic faith. He told reporters that the American flag was a symbol of oppression and tyranny. The NBA suspended him for one game before reaching a compromise. Abdul-Rauf would stand and pray during the anthem, but he paid a price. Denver traded him to Sacramento after that season, and despite his prolific scoring, he was out of the NBA by age of 29 for taking a stand. Bill Russell. Let's talk about the first black coach in NBA history. Let's talk about the first black coach in NBA history. Okay? Okay? And a man who I believe has earned the most NBA championships of any basketball player in the modern era. Listen to Bill Russell's protests. When he and 4 of his black teammates on the Boston Celtics were refused service in a restaurant in Lexington, Kentucky, Bill Russell told his coach, Red Auerbach, that they wouldn't play in an exhibition game in that city. 2 members of the St. Louis Hawks, Boston's opponents, joined them in the boycott. Red Auerbach didn't exactly stick up for his players. He told the Associated Press, quote, the Negro boys got really emotional. They said they like to go home. We talked for 2 hours and I couldn't change their minds. Let me repeat, brothers and sisters. Let me repeat. That was in 1961. There was no civil rights bill. That was in 1961. They were still hanging black men from trees. That was in 1961. And that black man, Bill Russell, this is why I respect Bill Russell. This is why I respect Bill Russell. I don't respect Bill Russell because he was the first coach. I don't respect Bill Russell because he got 11 rings or however many rings he got. I respect Bill Russell because when he was a player, since he couldn't eat in the restaurant, since he couldn't eat with white people, he refused to play for white people. I said when Bill Russell couldn't eat with white people, he decided that he wasn't going to play with white people. I said when Bill Russell couldn't eat with white people in Lexington, Kentucky, Bill Russell decided he wouldn't play for white people in Lexington, Kentucky. Okay? Bill Russell and his teammates flew back to Boston, Massachusetts, where the newspaper declared, Negroes in a fight for their rights, a fight for survival in a changing world. I am with these Negroes. A day later, Celtics owner told the Boston Globe the Celtics wouldn't play games in the South again, adding, I'm not so hungry for money that I arrange games that might embarrass my players. Bill Russell took a stand, and he forced the NBA to take a stand. Oh, let's keep going. 1965, the year they shot Malcolm. 1965, the year they shot Malcolm. If this comment is coonish, I'm blocking you. Let me see what we got. Hold on. You are the king of consciousness. There's a better way. You got the information to destroy these cats. We could reparations. We can't do it like this. You're attacking the wrong man. I'm going to block you because no man is above criticism. I'm going to block you. I'm banning you. I'm banning you. Don't put nothing coonish on my page. Nobody is above criticism. Nobody is above criticism. If you're okay with LeBron James praying instead of doing anything about them 60 bullets, you got a family up there who lost their son. You got a family up there who lost their brother, their uncle, their cousin, their nephew. You understand me? You got a community up there mourning right now. And instead of you standing with the community, you want to defend a privileged black athlete. That's your right to do it, but you're not going to do it on my page. That's your right to do it, but you're not going to do it on my page. Let's go to the next act of athletic protests. The American Football League moves All-Star game after the players' protest. The AFL All-Star game in 1965 in New Orleans was a nightmare for black All-Stars. Taxis refused to pick up black players. Nightclubs on Bourbon Street were segregated, and a bouncer pulled a gun out on Ernie Ladd. After that, the players refused to play. New Orleans Mayor Victor Shuro told the Associated Press that the protests would, quote, aggravate the very conditions they are seeking in time to eliminate. But the AFL Commissioner Joe Foss didn't blame the players for withdrawing, and he quickly relocated the game to Houston. The protests accelerated the desegregation of New Orleans. Let me say that again. Let me say that again. By the black players protesting the AFL All-Star game in 1965, it forced the city of New Orleans to do what? Accelerate the desegregation of the city. You know why? They were losing black money. You know why? They were losing black money. It wasn't about rights. I've told y'all this a million times. White power only respects three things: blood, money, and organized numbers of black people. I said blood, money, and organized numbers of black people. When they started losing all that money, when them black players refused to play, when them black players refused to play, and the AFL started losing all that money on All-Star Weekend, they came to their senses real fast. They came to their senses real fast. Let me keep on going. 1967, Muhammad Ali refuses the draft. Let's talk about Muhammad Ali, because y'all think I'm picking on LeBron, but I'm going to show you what black athletes did when it wasn't even safe to protest. It wasn't even safe for Bill Russell to do what he did in 61. It wasn't safe for them brothers to do what they did at the AFL All-Star game in New Orleans. It wasn't safe for Muhammad Ali to refuse the draft in 1967. And you're going to sit up here and tell me it's okay for LeBron James, a billionaire athlete, to pray. 60 bullets in his hometown. A black man caught 60 bullets and all he gonna do is pray. You can miss me with that. You can miss me with that. Let me continue. When the U.S. Army said Muhammad Ali was draft eligible, he declared he was a conscientious objector to military service. The war was against his Muslim faith. He said, quote, "I ain't got no quarrel with the Viet Cong." He told reporters April 28, 1967, he refused induction into the army. Muhammad Ali was stripped of his heavyweight title and banned from boxing for 3 years. And I'm reading an article, by the way. I'm reading an article. 2 months later, Muhammad Ali was convicted by an all-white jury and sentenced to 5 years in prison for his refusal to be inducted into the army. Public opinion was against Muhammad Ali. And the Atlanta Constitution claimed, quote, "Cassius Clay has plenty of company in the draft dodging league." At the time, few in the media referred to him as Muhammad Ali. 4 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court reversed Muhammad Ali's conviction. 4 years later, the U.S. Supreme Court reversed Muhammad Ali's conviction in a unanimous vote. One of the greatest athletes of all time retired from boxing in 1981. Oh, I want to put this in context. Muhammad Ali took a stand in 67. Bill Russell took a stand in 61. Now we gonna go to 68. Now we gonna go to 68. My own personal favorite. Now we gonna go to 68. My own personal favorite. Tommy Smith, John Carlos at the Summer Olympics. Tommy Smith, John Carlos at the Summer Olympics. Tommy Smith, John Carlos at the Summer Olympics. Tommy Smith won a gold medal. John Carlos won the bronze. 200 meters, Mexico City. But history remembers what they did on the podium. While the Star-Spangled Banner played, each of these proud, respectable, courageous black men raised a black glove power fist on the biggest sports stage in the world, the Olympics. All 3 athletes on the podium wore human rights badges, including the white man. Australian silver medalist Peter Norman. The International Olympic Committee president, Avery Brundage, banned Smith and Carlos, who were vilified in the media. They called them a couple of black-skinned stormtroopers. Did y'all hear that? They called them black-skinned stormtroopers. Neither one ever won another medal at the Olympics. They couldn't get a job. They couldn't go back to college. They got death threats. Their life was never the same, but they will be remembered for eternity because they took a stand. Let's keep on going. 1969, the state of Wyoming bans 14 black players for a planned protest. Wyoming's football team was undefeated, ranked 12th the week of its game against Brigham Young. But when 14 black members of the team visited head coach Lloyd Eaton to discuss an upcoming protest of the allegedly racist policies of the Mormon church, Eaton shut them down. He said, "Gentlemen, you can save time and breath." According to one of the black players, he said, "As of now, you're off the football team." A week later, 4 black track athletes at Wyoming quit the team in solidarity with the football players, and the football team was met by protests at every road game. In their next 38 games after the mass dismissal, the Cowboys won only 12 games. Eaton was out as coach after 1970. In 2019, the University of Wyoming apologized to the black 14. You see that? You see what happens when you stand for something? Do you see what happens when you stand for something? And I'm going to come back in a minute. To all the black NFL players, I want to say something to y'all for how y'all failed to stand with Colin Kaepernick. I want to say something to, I hope the black NFL players is listening to these brave black athletes who came before you. I hope all the black NFL football players are listening to the acts of honor and self-respect that were paid by these black athletes who came before you. I hope every black NBA player is listening to how black men in professional sports used to stand up. That's right. Not everybody is a Charles Barkley. Not everybody is a Shaquille O'Neal. Not everybody is a Stephen A. Smith. Some black men in sports got guts and they stand up for their people. Okay? Not everybody is a snow bunny Shannon Sharp. Some black men walk it and talk it. Shannon will talk it, but Shannon don't walk it. Going home to a snow bunny. Let's keep on going. 1970. Billie Jean King demands better pay. At the open era in tennis, this black woman in this brother in 1968, men were earning far more prize money than women. Billie Jean King decided to fight, boycotting a 1970 tournament because it awarded men $12,500 and women only $15,000. This was her sister. King arranged a rival tour despite facing suspensions from the U.S. Lawn Tennis Association. By September 1970, tournaments increased purses for women to avoid boycotts from King and her like-minded competitors. In June of 73, King became the first president of the Women's Tennis Association. This black woman protested lower pay in 1968. We in the 60s and they standing up. We are in the 60s and they standing up. What excuse do you athletes got today? They were standing up in the 60s. What excuse do you athletes got today? Let's continue. This woman suffered at the moment, but she ultimately received her vindication when she was made president of the Women's Tennis Association. A month later, the U.S. Open announced men and women would receive equal prizes. I want you to see, you might not see the victory in your life, but you will see the victory when you stand for something. I remember I met the late Dr. Yolanda King, daughter of the last great black leader we had, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And when I met with Yolanda King, she wrote on my brochure, rest in peace, because she's an ancestor too. Rest in peace to Yolanda King. But Yolanda King wrote on my brochure, and she said, if you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. I never forgot I think I was in the 11th grade to 12th grade. We went to Shippensburg University to see Yolanda King. And she wrote that on my program. If you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything. Let's continue. 1970, Syracuse players sit out of a season. 9 black players boycotted spring practice to protest the lack of black assistants or access to the same academic and medical resources as white players. Syracuse wouldn't take black players to road games in southern cities. Did y'all hear what I just said? Did y'all hear what I just said? I'm going to say it again. Syracuse in the 1970s would not take their black players on road games in the South. White teammates threatened to quit if the black players were reinstated. With linebacker Bill Coggle telling the Associated Press, "I don't care if you call me a bigot. I'm not going to take it." The black players sat out the entire season, derailing their football careers, but all 9 graduated. They got their football career cut short, but they graduated. Yes, they had to pay a price. Freedom ain't free. Freedom ain't free, brothers and sisters. Freedom ain't free. Colin Kaepernick took his stand. Muhammad Ali took his stand. Bill Russell took his stand. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf took his stand. The Syracuse football players took their stand. The AFL All-Star black football players took their stand in New Orleans. And I got to give another shout out. What is our African Asian sister? The tennis player, what is her name? What is her name? She took a stand. What's the sister's name? Naomi. What is Osaka? Naomi Osaka withdrew. Naomi Osaka, the Japanese tennis star who remains a one-surface wonder, will not play at Wimbledon. She announced in a social media post. Her and her team indicated that the withdrawal was due to her Achilles. But no. She withdrew. No. Maybe I got the wrong tournament. She withdrew after they said she might have blamed it on the Achilles. But the real reason was the Olympics said no social protest would be allowed. The Olympics said no social protest would be allowed. The Olympics said no social protest would be allowed. And since they said no Olympic athlete could protest in China, Naomi Osaka withdrew. She might have blamed it on the Achilles. But that sister heard DR.UMAR on the Breakfast Club. She might have blamed it on the Achilles. But that sister heard DR.UMAR on the Breakfast Club. She might have blamed it on the Achilles. But that sister heard DR.UMAR on the Breakfast Club. And I salute you, Sister Naomi Osaka. I salute you because you gave up money. That was another medal for you. But you sat it all down out of respect for your African race. You laid it all down for your respect for your African race. I had to go live because I wanted to say to my dear brother, LeBron James, how can you live with yourself by offering a prayer in the safety of your home in Los Angeles? That brother was riddled with bullets. Police genocide is a major problem for black folks. And all you can do is offer a prayer. When I just read you a whole list of black athletes who risked their life at a time when there were no protections at all. I just read to you a whole history of black protests by athletes who were as large as you in their day. And they risk their life and their livelihood. And all you want to do is pray in your $1 million home on the other side of the country from your hometown where Brother Waylon, rest in peace, was lynched with 60 bullets and all you can do is pray. No, sir, my brother. You want to be Michael Jordan? You want to catch him? You catching him. You catching Michael Jordan, brother, but not on the court. You catching him off the court with your political behavior. You want to be like Mike, LeBron? LeBron, you really want to be like Mike? You catching up, brother. You catching up. Sooner or later, I will consider you to be just like Mike. Just like Mike and just like Kobe. They could put, and I love Kobe as a player, but Kobe sold his race short as well. Rest in peace to him. Rest in peace. I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time. Not you and not Mike. I think it's Kobe, but all three of you. All three of you have fallen short when it comes to standing up for your people. All three of you have fallen short. You, sir, are catching up to Mike real quick by not doing a damn thing about what black people are going through. And then the NBA is trying to protect your image by constantly talking about what a great, responsible activist you are. I'm still looking for the activism because all I see is sound bites and press conferences. When you going to do something? Because a few seasons ago in the bubble, the Milwaukee Bucks wanted to do a walkout to protest police brutality. And you was against it. You tried to act like you was for it. No, you wasn't. No, you wasn't. And then you tried to blame Barack Obama and Michael Jordan for why you didn't go along with the protest, talking about you spoke to Barack Obama and Michael Jordan and they told you to keep playing basketball. So let me understand this. Let me understand this. You're supposed to be some kind of an activist, right? And you mean to tell me you from the ghetto in Akron? I've been to Akron. So you from the ghetto in Akron, and instead of using your own mind to decide if you should support the Milwaukee Bucks protest, you go talk to Michael Jordan, who's done nothing to help black America. You go talk to Barack Obama, who's done nothing to help black America, and you tell people they told you to keep on playing basketball. What did you expect them to tell you? What did you expect them to tell you, LeBron James? What did you expect them to tell you, my brother? And now let me go to the NBA athletes and the NFL athletes. I just read to you all what black athletes in the 60s were doing to protest racial injustice. You Negroes make more money. You Negroes got more protections. But on September 1st, 2016, when Colin Kaepernick took that knee, on September 1st, 2016, when Colin Kaepernick took that knee, almost none of you took a knee with him. Almost none of you took a knee. How many black players in the NFL? Let me see. Let me see. How many black NBA players? Let me see. How many black NBA? According to racial equity activist Richard Lapchick, the NBA in 2020 was composed of 74.2% of black players, 16.9% of white players, 2.2% Latino players, and 0.4% of Asian players. Okay. That means 403 black men, 81% of all players in the 2019-2020 season. 2019-2020 season, that's the year Colin Kaepernick took a knee. That's the year Colin Kaepernick took a knee. 403 basketball players, 81% of the league. 403 black male basketball players, 81% of the NBA. Now let's go to the NFL. Let's go to the NFL. Let me see. As of 2020, 57.5% of NFL players are black. Okay? In 2021, 71% of the players in the NFL were people of color. I don't care about people of color. I care about black folks. Okay. 70% of the NFL players are black. I want numbers. I want some numbers. How many black NFL players? I want some numbers. They're not giving me the numbers. Somebody can let me know what the numbers are. But there's more NFL players than NBA players. So if there's 403, black NBA players, there has to be at least 1,000 black NFL players, right? Right? So you're 80% of the NBA. You're almost 70% of the NFL. You're 80% of the NBA. You're almost 70% of the NFL. And neither group stood with Colin Kaepernick. The NBA players were scared to do anything. The NFL players were scared. Not everybody. Shout out to the black players who stood with Colin Kaepernick. Shout out to the black players who engaged in their own protests. But when I look at the behavior of black NFL athletes, and when I look at the behavior of black NBA athletes, it was cowardly. It was weak. It was timid. And it was fearful. The black man in the NFL, in the NBA, was an embarrassment to the ancestors and to the race with how y'all dealt with police brutality in the black community. 1 minute y'all want to protest, next minute y'all pull back. 1 minute y'all want to protest, next minute y'all pull back. 1 minute y'all want to protest, next minute y'all pull back. And then the NBA was so comfortable. The NBA and the NFL got so comfortable with y'all Negroes not taking a stand that the NFL said, we're going to play the black national anthem. We're going to play the black national. What? We're going to play the white national anthem, and then we're going to play the black national anthem. And players who want to stay in the locker room while the Star Spangled Banner is playing can stay in the locker room, but there will be no field protests. We're not going to give Colin Kaepernick his job back, and you Negroes went for it. Do you see what happened when Bill Russell, it was only 5 players. It was only 5. Syracuse, it was only 7 players. Imagine if all the black NFL players, imagine if all the black NBA players would have said, none of us are playing until Colin get his job back. He would have got his job back in a day. He would have got his job back in a day. Y'all couldn't even stand together long enough for Colin Kaepernick to get his job back. Now let me go to the NBA. Remember when Donald Sterling got caught being a racist? And all white people are. He just got caught. All white people are racist. He just got caught. Remember when the owner of the Clippers got caught being a racist? LeBron James got on the microphone. He said, this is the greatest league in the world. I'm sure the NBA going to do what they got to do. We can't have that kind of behavior. Good job. More words, not too much, no action, but good job, LeBron. That was the perfect time for NBA athletes to say, we want some more black owners, and we want them in a year. We want them in 6 months. If we don't have at least 5 teams owned by black folks next season, there will be no season. Why didn't y'all do that? All y'all did was engage in passive aggressive protests. All y'all did was engage in passive aggressive protests. The LA Clippers came out and they had on black shirts or something. They wouldn't warm up. Something that was weak and passive. That's the best you can do. We're not going to wear our warm up. So what? You got Muhammad Ali going to jail. You got Bill Russell risking his life. Even Naomi Osaka stood up to the Olympics and you Negroes is being weak and cowardly? Come on, it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. The reason I read the history of black professional athletes protesting injustice is LeBron. You're going to be added to this list. LeBron James, you will be written about after you retire. What do you want the truth to be said regarding you, sir? And what you did or did not do when black people were catching hell? Because if you think you're going to get mentioned with Colin Kaepernick, you're not. If you think you're going to get mentioned with Muhammad Ali, you're not. If you think you're going to get mentioned with Bill Russell, you're not. If you think you're going to get mentioned with those football players for Syracuse, you're not. If you think you're going to get mentioned with John Carlos, you're not. And if they mention you, they're going to say he prayed for his city. That's what LeBron James did when he found out a young black man in his hometown got lynched by the police, 60 bullets, and they even handcuffed him in his death. LeBron James prayed for his city. Nah, bro. Muhammad Ali turning in his grave. Nah, bro. Muhammad Ali turning in his grave. Nah, bro. And for all you out there who think LeBron James is above criticism, I am happy to upset you. I am so happy to have you angry with me. I want you to understand that I take your anger and I turn it into energy. I take your malice and I use it for fuel. I take your self-haterism and I use it to build my strength. I could give a damn what you think about me. I could give a damn about you Negropeans who care more about athletes than the African community. You don't mean nothing to me, you snow bunny loving Negroes. Mike Conley of the Utah Jazz. I think he plays for the U. I like Mike Conley. Mike Conley, somebody sent me a picture of you. It appears you've been snow bunnied. I hope you haven't, Mike Conley. But somebody sent me a picture because we have a snow bunny watch. We have a national black celebrity snow bunny watch. If you get caught with skim milk, we're posting you with the bunny rabbit. Ain't nobody above accountability. Mike Conley, you look like you've been snow bunnied. Chris Rock. Now, Chris Rock, I like you. Now, my West Philly brother Will had to put the smack down because you disrespected his queen, trying to turn into a joke for white folks. But I like you other than that. You did the black hair documentary, Good Hair. I thought that was an excellent documentary. But Chris Rock, you cannot talk about black women needing to wear their own hair and then you go date a white woman. Chris Rock, are you listening to me, sir? Chris Rock, are you listening? You cannot do a Good Hair documentary talking about black women need to wear their own hair and then you get caught with the white girl. Now, it could have been a business date, but TMZ posted you. TMZ snitched. TMZ called the Snow Bunny Watch on your ass. And Chris Rock, it looks like you have been snow bunnied. Yes, it's true. Most black men do not marry white women. That is true. That's true. Most black men do not marry white women. But black men marry white women more than all other men put together as a percentage of your population. And when we select out for income and education, when we select out for income and education, the amount of black men who marry outside their race, who are upper middle class and above, goes up to 40%. it goes up to 40%. So nearly half of successful, let me say very successful, nearly half of very successful black men marry outside the race. So yes, it's a problem. It's a problem. And once again, I have no problem with any of you being angry with me for exposing your self-hatred. I do not support sexual integration. I do not support sexual integration. I am not a sexual integrationist. I am not. I hate nobody. I absolutely hate nobody. I do not hate whites. I do not hate Asians. I do not hate Arabs. I do not hate Latinos. I do not hate European Jews. I do not hate Anglo-Saxons, Mexicans. I hate nobody. I love black people. I love the black family. I love the black woman. I love black children. And for that reason, I am against anything that is in the best interest of black people. And I do not care how you feel about it. I'm the father of unapologetically black. Whenever you see unapologetically black, I came up with that concept. That's my movement. Whenever you see unapologetically African, I came up with that concept. That's mine. Every time you see the shirt, every time you see the hat, every time you see the slogan, I'm the father of that. And it's time that you understand what it means. Don't say you unapologetically black and you're not. Don't say you unapologetically African and you're not. LeBron James, I respect you, my brother. I love you, my brother. But I'm telling you right now, a lot of people going to lose a lot of respect for your ass if all you going to do is pray. You got about 7 days to get your ass over to Akron, Ohio and do something. I don't care if it's a peaceful protest. I don't care if you got to meet with the mayor and come up with a police reform act for the city. I don't care if you got to go to Ohio State Legislature, because let us not forget, little Tamir Rice was butchered in Cleveland in 2014. Let us not forget, little Tamir Rice was butchered in Cleveland in 2014. So this ain't the first time. Akron is a suburb of Cleveland. You're only 40 minutes away. So you got Tamir Rice, and now we got Brother Waylon. We got Tamir Rice, and now we got Brother Waylon. So maybe you need to meet with the governor. Maybe you need to meet with the Congressional Black Caucus of the state of Ohio and see what them Negroes is doing. LeBron James, you got some work to do, sir. Oh, yes, you need a mayor. You need to be meeting with the police. You need to be meeting with the city. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Ain't no black billionaire got time to be praying. You need to be home in Akron organized. You ain't got to get in trouble, because we know you just struck that deal with those people to become a billionaire. We know what's going on. Nobody's stupid, but you can still do more than what you're doing. You owe it to all the athletes who came before you. Like I said, you want to be like Mike? Oh, you becoming just like Mike. Not on the court, off the court.